Hi cuties. So Bloober Team finally cooked up a delicious vidya game. I never would have thunk it. Not only did I finally just wrap up Silent Hill 2, I also just got done wiping away my snot bubbles from crying, y'all. That is how good they did. Now, in all honesty, this is a remake done very, very well, and I promised y'all I would deliver you a Jack the Ripper certified review, so of course I'm here for y'all. I'ma just warn y'all straight up, I'm not gonna dive into every little nook and cranny because I'm just not one of those YouTubers, bro. However, I will talk to you cuties about what it does so goddamn well, and of course its flaws, because nothing is perfect except for Leon Kennedy. One more thing, I won't quote-unquote spoil too much. I put quotes because this game is literally as old as me, and I've played the original numerous times throughout my life, but I know there are folks diving into this story for the first time with this remake, so I will spare you because I love you. Firstly, I'd love to talk about the graphics and the overall presentation of this game. I mean, goddamn does it look good. It's an absolute travesty that there's no way to get photo mode on PlayStation 5. I mean, what are we doing here? I know people on PC are already doing their thing, but us console bastards are left in the fog here. Anyways, Bloober Team, despite their previous releases not being the best, to say the least, always knew how to develop a pretty looking vidya game, and I'm here to happily report this is their best one so far. As far as the frame rate goes, I was getting a few massive drops here and there, especially in the intensive boss fights, but honestly, it wasn't too horrendous or anything, as it sorta just chugs and then it keeps it pushing. I do not know if it's a performance mode thing because that's all I played on PS5, but sometimes I would get weird pixely effects. I don't know, it's kinda hard to explain, just take a look. Other than small stuff like that, the details and environment of Silent Hill was fucking stunning. They zoom in on James' face and you can see his handsome little stubble and such. I mean, the texture work here is crazy. Not to mention the newspaper postings on light posts being fully legible, or just how great the fog is implemented itself. Like, damn, they snapped, it looks so good! Let's talk about the combat now, because I'm a little mixed on it. Before I start though, I know the original Silent Hill 2 is not known for being fluid and delicious, bro, but this is a modern remake, so I'm allowed to get a little Ripper complaint in or two. It's sort of being talked about that the combat is pretty tough, and I agree that when I first started playing the game and I was getting into the swing of things, the Ripper certainly felt helpless and overwhelmed by some enemy encounters. Bitch! Okay, you gotta lick in, Okay, you're getting several licks in. Funnily enough though, I found the combat by the end to be really trivial. Most of the enemies in the game can simply be popped in the kneecap, make them hit a Tim Tebow knee of the century, and then you just whack and stomp them. It's that simple. In the end, I found it to be a little repetitive, like it's not very thought-provoking or crazy, and it allowed for me to accrue hundreds and hundreds of bullets by the end of the game. James Sunderland had a small militia's entire stockpile of ammunition tucked in his coat pockets by the end of my playthrough, bitch. And that goes for the health too. I played on the hard action mode, and I only really died in boss fights a few times, but besides the beginning without the pistol, the basic enemy encounters never felt too challenging, to be honest with y'all. I will say though, that entire Toluca prison chapter was fucking littered with enemies, and it was honestly one of my favorite parts of the whole remake because I was deadass scared as hell of all them damn crawly leg monster bastards. Let me be clear too, I didn't expect Dark Souls 7 levels of difficulty here, but I also didn't think that I'd be so loaded with health and ammo by the end. I mean, even in games like Resident Evil, there are points on professional difficulty where it feels like you're on the precipice of having 0 bullets to fight with, but yeah. I know Silent Hill is not Resident Evil, by the way, but that's just the truth. All in all, I'll say the combat is improved from the original quite a bit. There's a little bit more in terms of how you can approach each fight, but it also feels like it was pushed a little bit harder with this remake too. I can't even tell you how many times in the OG Silent Hill 2 where I'd be in a corridor and I just simply ran past all the enemies because I was shitting my britches in fear. But in the remake, they kinda want you to murder everything in your sight. If y'all saw the Ripper's in-game stats, you'd be like, damn bro, you committed a genocide, and yes I did. I was truly saddened to find out they did not include a usable pyramid head weapon for James to wield, but I understand they wanted to make it a little bit more realistic, I suppose, but come on man, let us have some fun. One of my favorite new additions to the remake are these slight little nods to the past, rightfully called glimpses to the past. Basically, you can find old little puzzles or rooms from the OG game and interact with them, and it plays a cute little jingle. It's such a cool way of nudging the player like, hey, remember this? It's not here anymore. Some of my favorites include the easily missable one in Pete's Bolorama, which technically isn't really used in the remake at all despite being a big part of the OG. And James drops this all-time banger of a line.
Ugh, this town's full of monsters. Who could just sit here and eat pizza?
How could you just sit there and eat pizza? Yeah, that's hilarious. Good shit, Bloober Team. There's a reference to the original Pyramid Head boss fight room, and even the spot where James picks up that wooden stick and catches his first body. Some of the coolest Easter eggs are ones that aren't even glimpses of the past. They're just tiny little things sprinkled about that are easily missable. For example, when you first head to the Jack's Inn with Maria, you can go to the same exact hotel room that Heather and Detective Cartland resided in, and James says this.
This room. There's something wrong with it. I think we should leave.
This might be a little inkling that perhaps Bloober wants to work on a Silent Hill 3 remake, but they better do that first one before that, or else Jack the Ripper is gonna have a big fucking problem. I'm sure most of you have seen this by now, but of course people on PC were able to use that free cam and check out Angela's fingernails, which are super chewed up and damaged, presumably because of her abuse problems, which most likely led to her chewing her fingernails like this. These tiny little features Bloober added really show that they care about the source material, and I fucking love to see it. And that goes right into the story discussion. Every cutscene here is presented in that typical Bloober style. If you played shit like the medium, you'll understand, you know? The cutscenes and line delivery aren't as campy or as odd, if that makes any sense. Like, James in the OG comes across as low-key really fucking weird and lackadaisical, and despite me absolutely loving the OG voice actor, don't get me wrong, I do think Luke Roberts smashed it with his portrayal as James. You get the sense that he truly is a feller who just really loves his wife and wants to find her again. All the dialogue, despite being the same verbatim in a lot of instances, feel a lot heavier in weight this time around, and in the original, it's just got that little weird dreamy feel to it, you know? I don't know if I'm exactly making sense to you guys, but I am Jack the Ripper and I'm always correct, remember that. But yeah, characters like Angela and Eddie feel a lot more real. Well, less so Eddie, but definitely Angela. Angela's backstory is one of the most gut-wrenching in the entire franchise, and Bloober Team did a fantastic job honoring her. The abstract daddy boss fight correlating to her backstory is such a huge improvement to the original that even members from Team Silent are coming on Twitter to say so. There's a really cool touch that I noticed during this fight where there's a tiny little closet area showing off Angela's teddy bear and such, and only in that moment does the soundtrack go from swelling and crazy to muted and muffled, and the implications of that is absolutely heartbreaking. It's probably where Angela was able to find recluse from her abuse, and yeah, that broke me. The ending scenes in particular hit me like an emotional freight train bitch. And if you're curious, I got the leave ending for all you motherfuckers who understand that, and it's personally Jack the Ripper's favorite ending. I don't believe in any little fan theories or the fact that there's a real true canon ending to Silent Hill 2. I just think it's the most bittersweet and fitting for James' tale, if that makes any sense. The presentation of it in this remake was a lot easier to digest, and once again, it made me cry so hard I almost imploded, so I suppose I should talk about the puzzles for a bit because that is a gigantic part of the game, and I adore them. A lot of them are completely new additions that feel akin to some you'd see in the newer RE games, which is not a bad thing at all, by the way. They're obviously more difficult than Resident Evil, but not by a lot because I'm a dumbass, and I will say I did not have to use Google at all for any of the puzzle solutions, and that is a ripper win right there. This adds to the overall runtime of this remake, which is like at least double the OG's time, and I don't know how to feel about that. Certain regions like the hospital, it felt like I was never going to get out of there, but I was still having fun, so it's not like the biggest deal in the world. However, in that New Game Plus run I'm about to do, it's gonna sting for sure. On the one hand, I enjoy new content, but I mean, think about it like this. You can get to the apartments in like 20 minutes in the original, and in my live stream of the first part of the game, I played for an hour, and I still didn't reach it until the very end, like damn. I realize now I've been yapping this long, and I haven't even touched on the horror aspect in a survival horror video game. My fault, y'all. And I have the hot take that is, I believe this might be just as scary as the OG, if not more. Yep, I truly think so. They went all in on the jump scares this time around, and for the most part, I'm not a fan of cheap-ass scares, Callisto Protocol, but here they play off that brilliant tension that makes you want to check every single corner you see like it's Valorant or something. Those stupid little leg bastards will hide in a super obvious spot, then scurry away like a dumbass spider, and it's freaky, I admit. One of the features of the original allowed you to simply enter a new room to run away from enemies, but not this time around, bitch. Everything is loaded all at once, one room is not gonna save you, bruh. It's definitely one of the freakiest games I've ever played, but something about that original makes it just as eerie in a separate way. God, I love Silent Hill, bro. This remake is absolutely excellent. I love all the attention to detail, improved combat for the most part, and presentation of the story beats. Side characters are fleshed out super nicely, puzzles are fun, even if a little bit simplified, and Pyramid Head is still a freaky little bitch. My only real gripes come from the performance hitches, a runtime that is perhaps a tad bit too long, and the ammo/health drops need a bit more tweaking, I think. Bloober Team absolutely snapped to my surprise, and I am happy to plug the Silent Hill 2 remake into the Certified Ripper ranking system at a fair 9 rips out of 10 rips. Here's hoping they get a chance to whip up the predecessor in a beautifully remade package and present that to the modern audiences as well as they did the sequel. I love you guys. Talk to me about Silent Hill 2 down below. Is this remake ass, or is it perhaps your favorite thing since sliced bread? I think for the most part, everyone is enjoying it. It did just hit the 1 million copies sold mark, which is awesome. But yeah, comment down below and we can get into all the nuances and such. That's about it though, y'all. Drop a replica of James's jacket on the like button. Perhaps Angela's knife that subscribe, and I love you guys. Bye!